that you have this meditation, yeah, before practice. Not anymore.
Just impressed that everybody knew daylight savings.
Our smartphones.
That's what happened to me. I looked at my computer and said, my goodness, it's almost 9 o'clock. Why isn't Gretchen awake? Why did the cat come in an hour early this morning? She always comes in at the exact same time. Must be something wrong out there, though, right? Not me.
So it's today. Oh, so today is the night.
Daylight saving, yeah.
So maybe somebody will come an hour later.
Yes,
yeah?
They'll be here in an hour. That's so funny. That is so funny.
And would you like me to use this mic, yeah? This
Yeah,
mic?
yeah, if you
and,
can use that one, that'd be good.
And need to turn it on here?
I think that's the one he has worked up. Yeah. Yeah, I think I could. Oh.
And so today it's like from 10 to 12.
10 to 12, yeah.
And we have a break.
A break in
it's
between.
Around like
Yeah.
11.
Yeah. And yeah, so we'll start with the opening prayers.
Just pin that near your heart chakra.
So let's start with the opening prayers in the prayer book, page, is it 11? Can't remember. Page 5. Page 5. With all enemies who hate me, hinderers who harm me, and those who obstruct my liberation and omniscience foremost, may all mother sentient beings equal to space have happiness, be free of suffering, and quickly attain precious, unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. With all enemies who hate me, hinderers who harm me, and those who obstruct my liberation and omniscience foremost, may all mother sentient beings equal to space have happiness, be free of suffering, and quickly attain precious, unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. With all enemies who hate me, hinderers who harm me, and those who obstruct my liberation and omniscience foremost, may all mother sentient beings equal to space have happiness, be free of suffering, and quickly attain precious, unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. To this end I apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue until Buddhahood. I apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue until death. I apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue from today until at this time. All sentient beings equal to the ends of space take refuge in the nature of all the body, speech, minds, qualities, and activities of those thus gone in the 10 directions and 3 times, the wellspring of the 84,000 heaps of Dharma, the sovereign of all the noble Sanghas, the glorious and holy kind root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the assembly of deities in the Idam's mandala. We take refuge in the Buddha Bhagavans. We take refuge in the holy Dharmas. We take refuge in the noble Sanghas. We take refuge in the assembly of Viras, Dakinis, protectors and guardians with the wisdom eye. We take refuge in the glorious and holy kind root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the assembly of deities in the Yidam Dala. We take refuge in the Buddha Bhagavans. We take refuge in the holy Dharmas. We take refuge in the noble Sanghas. We take refuge in the assembly of Viras, Dakinis, protectors and guardians with the wisdom eye. We take refuge in the glorious and holy kind root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the assembly of deities in the Yidam's mandala. We take refuge in the Buddha Bhagavans. We take refuge in the holy Dharmas. We take refuge in the assembly of Viras, Dakinis, Dharma, protectors and guardians with the wisdom eye. Till I reach the heart of awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha's hall. In the Dharma and assembly of Bodhisattvas too I take refuge. Just as all Sugatas of the past brought to birth the mind of awakening, and in each and every training of Bodhisattvas step by step did dwell. Just so for the benefit of beings I too bring to birth awakened mind. And in each and every training thus, step by step I'll train myself like so. Till I reach the heart of awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha's hall. In the Dharma and assembly of Bodhisattvas too I take refuge. Just as all Sugatas of the past brought to birth the mind of awakening, and in each and every training of Bodhisattvas step by step did dwell. Just so for the benefit of being birth awakened mind, and in each and every training thus, step by step I'll train myself like so. Till I reach the heart of awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha's hall. In the Dharma and assembly of Bodhisattvas too I take refuge. Just as all Sugatas of the past brought to birth the mind of awakening, and in each and every training of Bodhisattvas step by step did dwell. Just so for the benefit of beings I too bring to birth awake mind, and in each and every training thus, step by step I'll train myself like so, till I reach the heart awakening in the Buddha's hall. In Dharma and assembly of Bodhisattvas too I take refuge. Just as all Sugatas of the past brought to birth the mind of awakening, and in each and every training of Bodhisattvas step by step did dwell. Just so for the benefit of beings I too bring to birth awakened mind, and in each and every training thus, step by step I'll train myself like so. In the Buddha, Dharma, and assembly excellent, I take refuge till I come to full awakening. By the merit of my deeds like generosity, may I achieve Buddha beings' benefit. In the Buddha, Dharma, and assembly excellent, I take refuge till I come to full awakening. By the merit of my deeds like generosity, may I achieve Buddhahood for beings' benefit. In the Buddha, Dharma, and assembly excellent, I take refuge till I come to full awakening. By the merit of my deeds like generosity, may I achieve Buddhahood for beings' benefit. May all mother sentient beings equal to space have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free of suffering and the cause of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness free of suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of attachment and aversion to near and far. May sentient beings equal to space have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free of suffering and the cause of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness free of suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of attachment and aversion to near and far. May all mothers, sentient beings equal to space have the cause of happiness. May they be free of suffering and the cause of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness free of suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of attachment and aversion to near and far. By prostrating, offering, and confessing thus, by rejoicing, urging, supplicating too. Any little virtue that I have amassed, all I dedicate for full awakening. This ground daubed with fragrant water, with flowers strewn, is adorned by Meru, four lands, by sun and moon. Seeing this to be a Buddha field, I offer it. May all beings experience this utterly pure land. Om Guru Ratna Mandala Buddha Mega Samudra Saparana Samaye. Now let's skip to the 37 Bodhisattva practices. Homage to Lokeshvara. I pay constant homage through my three doors to my supreme teacher and protector, Chenrezig, who, while seeing all phenomena coming and going, makes single-minded effort for the good of living beings. Perfect Buddha's source of all well-being and happiness arise from accomplishing the excellent teachings, and this depends on knowing the practices. So I will explain the practices of Bodhisattvas. Having gained this rare ship of freedom and fortune, here think and meditate unwaveringly night and day, in order to free yourself and others from the ocean of cyclic existence. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Attached to your loved ones, you're stirred up like water. Hating your enemies, you burn like fire. In the darkness of confusion, you forget, adopt, and discard. Give up your homeland. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. By avoiding bad objects, disturbing emotions gradually decrease. Without distraction, virtuous activities naturally increase. With clarity of mind, conviction in the teachings arises. Cultivate seclusion. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Loved ones who have long kept company will part. Wealth created with difficulty will be left behind. Consciousness, the guest, will leave the guest house of the body. Let go of this life. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. When you keep their company, your three poisons increase. Your activities of hearing, thinking, and meditating decline, and they make you lose your love and compassion. Give up bad friends. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. When you rely on them, your faults come to an end, and your good qualities grow like the waxing moon. Cherish spiritual teachers even more than your own body. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Bound himself in the jail of cyclic existence, what worldly god can give you protection? Therefore, when you seek refuge, take refuge in the three jewels which will not betray you. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. The subduer said, all the unbearable suffering of bad rebirths is a fruit of wrongdoing. Therefore, even at the cost of your own life, never do wrong. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Like dew on the tip of a blade of grass, pleasures of the three worlds last only a while and then vanish. Aspire to the never-changing supreme state of liberation. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. When your mothers who've loved you since time without beginning are suffering, what use is your own happiness? Therefore, to free limitless living beings, develop the altruistic intention. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. All suffering comes from the wish for your own happiness. Perfect Buddhas are born from the thought to help others. Therefore, exchange your own happiness for the suffering of others. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Even if someone, out of strong desire, steals all your wealth or has it stolen, dedicate to him your body, possessions, all your virtue, past, present, and future. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Even if someone tries to cut off your head when you haven't done the slightest thing wrong, out of compassion take all his misdeeds upon yourself. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Even if someone cast all kinds of unpleasant remarks about you throughout the 3,000 worlds, in return with a loving mind speak of his good qualities. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Though someone may deride and speak bad words about you in a public gathering, looking on him as a spiritual teacher, bow to him with respect. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Even if a person for whom you've cared like your own child regards you as an enemy, cherish him specially like a mother does her child who is stricken with sickness. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. If an equal or inferior person disparages you out of pride, place him as you would your spiritual teacher with respect on the crown of your head. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Though you lack what you need and are constantly disparaged, afflicted by dangerous sickness and spirits, Without discouragement, take on the misdeeds and the pain of all living beings. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Though you become famous and many bow to you, and you gain riches to equal Vaishravanas, see that worldly fortune is without essence and be unconceited. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. The enemy of your own anger is unsubdued. Though you conquer external foes, they will only increase. Therefore, with the lisha of love and compassion, subdue your own mind. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Sensual pleasures are like salt water, and it wants those things which breed clinging attachment. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Whatever appears is your own mind. Your mind from the start was free from fabricated extremes. Understanding this, do not take to mind inherent signs of subject and object. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. When you encounter attractive objects, though they seem beautiful, like a rainbow in summer, don't regard them as real and give up attachment. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. All forms of suffering are like a child's death in a dream. Holding illusory appearances to be true makes you weary. Therefore, when you meet with disagreeable circumstances, see them as illusory. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. When those who want enlightenment must give even their body, there's no need to mention external things. Therefore, without hope for return or any fruition, give generously. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Without ethics, you can't accomplish your own well-being, so wanting to accomplish others is laughable. Therefore, without worldly aspirations, safeguard your ethical discipline. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. The bodhisattvas who want a wealth of virtue, those who harm are like a precious treasure. Therefore, towards all, cultivate patience without hostility. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Seeing even hearers and solitary realizers who accomplish only their own good, strive as if to put out a fire on their head. For the sake of all beings, make enthusiastic effort the source of all good qualities. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Understanding that disturbing emotions are destroyed by special insight with calm abiding. Cultivate concentration, which surpasses the four formless absorptions. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Since the five perfections without wisdom cannot bring perfect enlightenment, along with skillful means, cultivate the wisdom which does not conceive three spheres as real. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. If you don't examine your own errors, you may look like a practitioner, but not act as one. Therefore, always examining your own errors to rid yourself of them. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. If, through the influence of disturbing emotions, you point out the faults of another bodhisattva, you yourself are diminished. So don't mention the faults of those who have entered the great vehicle. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Reward and respect cause us to quarrel, make hearing, thinking, and meditation decline. For this reason, give up attachment to the households of friends, relations, and benefactors. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Harsh words disturb the minds of others and cause deterioration in a bodhisattva's conduct. Therefore, give up harsh words which are unpleasant to others. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Habitual disturbing emotions are hard to stop through counteractions. Armed with antidotes, the guards of mindfulness and mental alertness destroy disturbing emotions like attachment at once, as soon as they arise. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. In brief, whatever you are doing, ask yourself, what's the state of my mind? With constant mindfulness and mental alertness, accomplish others' good. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. To remove the suffering of limitless beings, understanding the purity of the three spheres, dedicate the virtue for making such effort to enlightenment. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. For all who want to train on the bodhisattva path, I have written the 37 practices of bodhisattvas, following what has been said by the excellent ones on the meaning of the sutras, tantras, and treatises. Though not poetically pleasing to scholars, owing to my poor intelligence and lack of learning, I have relied on the sutras and the words of the excellent, so I think these bodhisattva practices are without error. However, as the great deeds of bodhisattvas are hard to fathom for one of my poor intelligence, I beg the excellent to forgive all faults, such as contradictions and non sequiturs. Through the virtue from this, may all living beings gain the ultimate conventional altruistic intention, and thereby become like the protector Chenrezig, who dwells in neither extreme, not in the world, nor in peace. Okay, good morning, everyone. we're so happy that Sharafka's back. Lama Dawa Zagmo, and also Yarek is here. I just wanted to let people know, this for someone like me who sort of stumbled onto the path and stumbles along the path, you might say. I learned some time ago that all of us might remember Chaucer's Tales. This 13th century poem, in Old English. The Pardoner's Tale. So here's this people on their pilgrimage to Canterbury, this holy spot in southern England. And Chaucer's recording their stories. And one of them, The Pardoner's Tale, is about this, this man who is giving lectures on virtue against greed. But he's actually very greedy himself, and it's kind of revealed in his talk. The Pardoner's Tale came from India. It's a Buddhist tale. It's one of the Jataka tales, the 500 tales, stories, which are kind of like Aesop's fables with animals and things, but then there's 500 more Jataka tales that are the Bodhisattvas, the Buddha's previous lives. And this whole volume on the Buddha's lives starts with one. It's called The Unexcelled, and it's about refuge. It purports a story that took place in the Buddha's previous lifetime. This is in this lifetime, right, in India. The Buddha had a big patron. This first great patron was Anathapindada, if I'm saying his name right. He was called the Treasurer with a capital T, and he donated this land. He bought this land that turned out to be like the first place where the Sangha could take retreats during the rainy season. So it was a place where they did increased meditation, kind of like the forerunner of Buddhist monasteries, and for that matter, Dharma centers. So Anathapindada bought 500 of his buddies who were sort of students of other teachers, non-Buddhist teachers, bought 500 of them to come to see the Buddha. And the Buddha gave these teachings, and they were all just, moved, and they all took refuge in the Buddha. And then they went back to their hometowns and stuff. And then they all took refuge again in their previous teachers. And Anathapindada, the treasurer, found out about this, and sometime later brought them all back. So all 5 came back. And the Buddha gave this beautiful teaching. It's the very first Jataka tale on how we need to find refuge in the truth. And he gets into it in very kind of beautiful ways. But what pointed out to me was how tough it is. We think of the obstacles that we have with practice. American life is so busy, and there's always money pressure. I mean, there's just all these seeming distractions all the time. And we sit down and meditate, and we see how kind of wild our mind is. Many, many challenges. We live in an era when a great teacher like Garamche is thrown into a prison camp for 20 years. This is our time. And we live in this tragic kind of situation where everyone's striving for happiness, but we're just finding dissatisfaction. This is the essence of Buddha's teachings. We have to find the right methods. And so his teachings are the middle way between the extremes of kind of like a radical eternalism and a radical nihilism, which very much characterizes the modern world. But nonetheless, in the time of the Buddha, can you imagine these people meeting the Buddha and being really moved, but then somehow falling away, but then eventually coming back? It's just so much. This is the human situation. We can't idealize that, if I would only been there, it would be different. We all do the same things again and again. Samsara spins around. So, with that, inspired like that, we've all done tremendous work here, keeping this place together. And what is it? It's study and practice. We have this unusual situation where we have Kempo qualified. It just there. Rich and I met a great Kempo. I had practiced Western Zen for some years, And why do you do all these teachings? Aren't the teachings beyond the words? And his Trungpa Rinpoche, he was the top Kempo with the 17th Karmapa. And he said to me, they're just guidelines. They keep you on the path. Somehow if your action and thought is not comporting with the teachings, then you have to question. You have to look, is this true? Is this not? So it's all just practical. So it's why we've asked Zhiravka to be, a leader of our center. We have in this room right now, so we have Zhiravka back, we got Yarek visiting back from Ukraine. I mean, this is really amazing. In our room, we have like 9 years of solitary retreat, not counting what any of us have done, just the two of these. And of course, this is very valuable. You'll know from your own experience. It's one thing to have all these wonderful ideas, peace and happiness. As we sit down, and my mind is on fire. my distracted mind undistracted mind lasts for maybe a snap of the fingers, maybe not. Not to be discouraged. You're seeing it as it is. And that's so important because the whole world is not seeing it as it is. They're all pointing out, that guy's causing the problem. That guy's causing my suffering. And it's all, it's all illusory. And so much of it is delusion. So forgive my big windiness now, but I wanted to so happy that Zhiravka and Yarek are here. As we're going forward, it's going to be challenging times for us. My Gretchen and I, our whole, past couple of decades anyway, has been dedicated to survivability of this place because of the benefit. Just because of the benefit. There's so much. And we've been extremely fortunate. When I think Garchen Rinpoche's now next month, he's having his 90th birthday. Kempa will be there. Zhiravka will be there for that. Really wonderful for us. But how is it? It was never planned. No one got out of high school and said, gee, I'm looking for a Garchen Rinpoche. It's not that way. This is all spontaneous unfolding, which is why it's pure. All right, so enough of me. Forgive me for my verbal flatulence. Please.
Thank you, Frank, for your words of wisdom, and thank you for your work, working tirelessly for so many years. You, Gretchen, and anyone who supports this community. This is so important for existence of Sangha. Actually, we come to the center, and the center exists because some people, the group of people, work doing things, to make sure that center exists, and thinking about center future also, endowment fund and thinking buildings and so. So we'll talk about this a little bit later, but the teachings today will be divided into parts. We'll have a short break, so we'll be two different topics. But first topic, I would like to talk about practice of Vajra recitation. Many of you are familiar with this practice, and I just would like to refresh it, because this is practice so powerful. It does really work on balancing mind and clearing mind. And I know this from my own experience, and other people report that it's really powerful, and it's not very hard to master this practice. So that's why I reintroduce it again and again. And we actually talked yesterday with Frank and Gretchen, and we decided that we will support the practice of Vajra recitation on a weekly basis. Probably on Wednesdays, we will have 45 minutes of practice over Zoom. So then it's free, and anyone who would like to join to support their practice, and then maybe you will have questions. So I don't know which week we will start, probably in a couple of weeks, in a few weeks. But so that's what we would like to do in order to support your daily practice. And so this teaching, those of you who are not really familiar with this practice, so this teaching, Garchen Rinpoche shared while giving commentary on teachings of Mahasiddha Tilopa Mahamudra Upadesha. And so this practice is intended for practitioners who are not very experienced in sustaining the natural state of mind and are not very experienced in holding on awareness. So this actually practice, when you do it, it helps to kind of open this ever-present awareness naturally without effort. So when you practice this practice, you don't think about awareness. It comes as a result of practice itself. So, and it says that like those practitioners that cannot, those who cannot hold on essence or wind, so they can practice the Vajra breathing. So for ordinary person who is trapped in samsara, so mind and wind essence, they are not united. They move different directions. So they are like separate. And that causes like duality, that's reinforced duality and suffering in samsara. So the mind follows the thoughts, and wind energies follow karmic winds. And so how it works, for example, mind follows wind. So thought appear, and then this thought gives rise to next thought and to next thought and emotions and next thought. And so we the mind follows thoughts. If we don't have awareness, the mind follows whatever thought is appearing, and thus creates the chain of thoughts. And so at the end, mind is wrapped in those stories of the thoughts without awareness. So instead of observing what is arising, minds follow it. So it's completely opposite of what it's supposed to be. And so in meditation, the problem is not the thought itself. That arising of thought is natural. Mind, like thoughts or like manifestation will continue. Thoughts might appear, sometimes might not appear, but problem is not in thought. Problem is in following those thoughts. And we follow those thoughts because we don't have awareness. Okay. So, and then karmic wind refers to this habitual movement of subtle energies which are driven by karmic wind, by karmic habits. For example, we have a karmic tendency, and then those karmic tendency push subtle energy in our subtle body to certain direction, but away from central channel. So in yogic practice, we bring those energies into central channel. And that's when where we unite mind and these wind energies. And that results into realization, into nature of mind. But ordinary person is driven by, for ordinary person, that karmic, those winds essence, they are not in control. Our habitual tendencies are in control. It's, for example, we can imagine the boat in a river or in a sea, and current is like pushing boat in different directions. But in yogic practice, what we are using that current and wind in order to move boat in directions that we intend. So for ordinary person, the mind is not in control, thoughts are in control of creating next chain of thoughts. And wind energies are not in control, but karmic tendencies are in control. For example, like if it's still difficult to understand, for example, like we can take any living situation. If you contemplate, like you will understand what I'm talking about. But for example, you like 9 p.m. Yeah, not too late, and your neighbor is having party. So, and like loud voices, music, and lots of distraction, you cannot rest. And so you have like thoughts, how insensible they are. And like then next thought, like how can like do this, you know, like I wish they would be blackout, you know, or like next time they ask me for extension cord or like whatever, I'm not going give it to them, and like what terrible neighborhood is that, and how miserable my life. This is example of like, instead of like when you have this first thought about like how bad my neighbor is, there is no problem in this thought, in first thought. If you observe it, so it just will dissipate. You will start looking inside and you liberate it and you use that as path, you know, to liberation. But because there is no awareness, you don't stop. You continue thinking until you are miserable and you actually, sorry, you know. So you continue to you continue to build this chain of thoughts, and actually your mind is wrapped in this story, and these emotions arise and new thoughts arise, and so you like feel miserable, you know. Okay, so the next morning you wake up, you forgot about situation, you like happy, in a good mood, you feel good, everything is fine. And for example, like knock in a door, you open the door, that's your neighbor with piece of pie, for example. But immediately, because last night you had negative emotion to this neighbor, you planted the karmic seeds of negative attitude toward your neighbor. And that negative emotion arises immediately without you thinking about. So you see your neighbor, and neighbor gives you pie, but you immediately refuse it with like sour expression. Like, you know, and that's because last night you planted that seed of a negative emotion toward neighbor without awareness. So not, last night you didn't have awareness, and now you didn't have awareness. So what happens? This seed rising immediately, like automatically, without you even having time, giving you time to think about this. Okay, so and that's example of karmic wind, and you feel bad, you know, like, so you feel discomfort, you know, like you might want to give rise good emotion, but it's, you have to make effort, it's difficult for you, okay, and it's hard. So then this is just example. So first part is you following your thoughts and emotions, you know, your mind wrapped in this his story, but that following creates karmic seeds. And next part, this karmic seeds or like karmic wind affects your subtle energies, and movement of your subtle energies affect your state of mind. The thing is, we have like 72,000 channels. The different teachings might give different number, but that's what I received in my teachings. So like we have so many channels in our subtle body, and we have like 3 main channels, and we have central channels. So as long as prana moves in any of the channels, but in central, we will have this fixed state of duality. The duality dissolves only when prana enters central channel. But what happens when we are, so when we have some emotion, for example, this subtle wind, this prana has tendency to move in some side channels, anywhere. And when like those side channels filled with that prana, but then what happened? To remain there, or a habit to move to that channel, and that movement of prana reinforces the same state of mind. In this way, like we can say, so then we have like karmic tendency for prana, for subtle winds to move in certain directions and affect our state of mind. So, and that's why many people, ordinary people who do not practice, they have like fixed perception, you know, and it's reinforcing itself again and again and again if we don't work with ourselves. Our mind, like, we get this tunnel vision, and we are not really open to new ideas. So, and that's how it works, because every our thought, if there is no awareness, creates seeds or karmic tendencies. And there are those karmic tendencies, like, without our control, force or push subtle energies into certain directions away from central channel, reinforcing a dualistic view. And then if ordinary person does not understand this process, it's very difficult to work. Of course, we can work trying to change our habits, you know, our pattern of thoughts, and it helps a little bit. But for yogis, like, why yogis work with channels? They directly bring those subtle winds back to central channel. So with right attitude, when we don't have grasping on ego, with right concentration, so we unite mind, which, like, we bring our attention, and that's, we can say, like, we bring our mind to certain point, and we concentrate on bringing subtle winds to the same point. Okay, and here we can speak about like techniques of you will understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about uniting mind and subtle winds. So just like reminding you about the technique, you visualize yourself as Vajra yogini. Okay, if you don't practice Vajra yogini, you can visualize yourself as a transparent red ball or balloon. It's transparent, it's like luminous, you know, it's empty. So the reason why we are doing that is that when we, for example, visualize ourselves in the body of Yidam, then our habitual tendencies that arose on the base of this human body kind of dissolved for some time, you know, because the Yidam, the essence of Yidam is bodhicitta. The essence of Yidam is like pure awareness, you know, and detachment, you know, from three poisons, you know. Even if we don't realize it, just visualizing ourselves in body of Yidam, kind of this powerful blessing helps us temporarily be free from the habitual tendencies which arise on this sense, what do you call it, like, to perception which we receive through our sense organs, you know. And so then, because there are tendencies or habits which we bring from past lifetimes, but that there are which we accumulate on the basis of this human body in these lifetimes. Okay, and so that's a reason for visualizing ourselves in the body of Yidam, or like visualizing our body as a balloon of light. And in the center of the body of Yidam, or balloon of red, like red balloon, we visualize three main channels. So there is like right channel, which is red in color, and it's associated with grasping or desire. Left channel, Rasana, left called Lalana. It's in Tibetan tradition, and it's white in color and represents the like transformation of emotion of anger, or like pushing away, you know. And central channel with is called Uma. It's blue, in some traditions blue or red, and it's represents like transformation of ignorance. So like those 3 channels represent transformation of 3 main the poisons which actually start this samsara cycle. So those channels are diameter of like your ring finger. So they are like straight, they're hollow, like strong, and they're luminous. They're like extremely luminous. They're pure. Okay, so the central channel starts at your crown and goes down to the level below your navel. So it's approximately 4 fingers below of your navel, and it goes in the center. You know, so then right and left channels, they start in your nostrils. They go up, they curve under your skull, and then they descend down parallel to your central channel. In the area below the navel, they enter the central channel, and they like make this kind of, there is curve. You know, it's like a Tibetan letter cha, you know, like there's like this curve. And so they actually enter the central channel. There are like so many channels which branch out of central channels. You know, when we speak about chakras, for example, it's not just lotus you visualize. This lotus with so many petals represents those channels that branch out of central channels. So, and there's so many channels that branch out, you know, like in your hands, your feet, everywhere. But we're speaking about 3 channels because that's channels the yogis usually work. And in this practice of Vajra recitation, so this is visualization, yeah? And on a level like below your navel or on a level like of your navel, it's like you have to feel it's, you know, it's different for everybody. In the central channel, where side channels enter the central channel, inside of the central channel, there is like small ball of fire or like red ball. It is very tiny. The size is of lentil. It's super tiny. And they say like, the smaller is object, the better your the more clarity. So when you visualize like really tiny objects very clearly, so that's result into clarity of your mind directly. Okay, so your Vajrayogini or ball of like red ball, and you have these 3 channels, and inside of the central channel there is like tiny bright red ball of light. When you inhale, you inhale through your side channels, right and left. When you inhale the prana, you recite silently Om. So basically, Om. And prana descends through the side channels down and enter the central channel through the side channels. At this time, you recite Ah silently, without telling, you know, aloud. And when you recite Ah, you hold your breath for a few seconds, you know, like for a short time. And while you recite Ah and hold your breath, you visualize as this prana which entered the central channel from side channels, like gently fan the fire. Gently, no need to be forceful. Actually, like masterful yogins don't make much effort in holding breath and in like fan, like doing this all this stuff with fire. You know, you don't need to make a huge, you know, fire tornadoes or whatever. You know, this is a small, and that's a thing, you know, like you don't need like to make this fire huge. The thing is you need to bring this prana into this ball of fire. So while you're holding this breath, what happens? It's plays role as a pressure cooker. So you brought wind, there is fire, and you are closing it by holding the air. You know, sometimes we speak about like you have to maybe close like lower door. You know, like you hold like perineum. You know, like little bit tight. But it's not necessarily for like here. If you do it, like they say Vajra breath, you know, or like, but the most important thing, you hold and you do visualization when you recite Ah. And so this pressure cooker, it's kind of traps wind inside, wind in this fire together. And your work, your task is only to hold your attention there. So through visualization, you bring like your mind there and you bring your wind there. And when you close this door, you know, close this pressure cooker, the nature of this chakra under navel is transformation. So transform energy, it's like natural kind of quality of this chakra. You don't have to think now there is transformation going on. Like you have just to bring energy there and do visualization. And transformation happens on its own because that's the quality of this chakra. And that's how we practice Tumo. So it's based on pure motivation, on right visualization yourself as Yidam, and on visualization of this like chakra and fire and so forth. And then you kind of close it, seal it, and the cooking is doing everything. Okay? This transformation, we can say like there is uniting of minds and winds happening. When you do this, you don't think about this, like now I'm uniting this, because it's not like that. In dualistic view, when we expand. So that happens. Just follow the instruction. Instruction is do this exercise, like visualize and bring it, like slowly, like softly, gently, Om, Ah. So and then you exhale, Hum. So when you exhaling, actually, you don't visualize anything, because through this transformation in the navel chakra, this unity happens. And what is this unity? This is experience of the natural state of mind. So when you experience natural state of mind is the unity of mind and wind channels. But when we speak, there is mind, there is wind channels, so it's like we unite them. No, it's not like that. So real unity, it's experience of the natural state of mind. And this exercise is, this instruction helps us to get this experience and experience this unity. When we describe this, it's really confusing. But when it's not realized by explanation, there is no way to explain the unity of mind in subtle riddles. There is no way, because when we explain, there is always notion of duality. There is only way to understand it through experiencing this. And that's how it is with most practices, in Vajrayana, especially when we work with channels and chakras. Don't think that you have to do something. You just have to follow simple instruction, how to visualize, how to bring all this wind to desirable place. And that's it. And so when you exhale, you recite silently Hum, you might experience the nature of mind. You might not experience the nature of mind right away. So don't grasp for this idea, because nature of mind is it's opening naturally as a result of this exercise and pure motivation. That's why we say pure motivation really forces this experience. That's why the pure motivation, visualization yourself as a Yidam, and then in a body of Yidam with pure motivation, you do this concentration. Pure motivation really so powerful for experience, very powerful. This is number one, and then so we don't do any visualization during reciting of Hum, because if you are to experience the natural state of mind, then visualization is always duality. It's always it always has notion of duality, and then becomes obstacles. If we hold on visualization, that becomes obstacles to the experience of natural mind. That's the reason why we do not visualize anything when we recite Hum. And then you might experience clarity of mind. You know, like you do this exercise for 15 minutes, 20, 30 minutes, and like you like feel you're more grounded. Like your back, it's easy straight, because like when we experience, we want our back to be like it wants to be straight, you know. And so then when we like through this kind of like through this exercise, even though you might not experience natural state of mind right away after first cycle of breathing, you might still experience like clarity of mind, but being grounded, like you feel calmness, you feel like peace, peace, that your mind become more peaceful. You know, you feel okay. Whatever I thought today, whatever I was worried today, it's like you clearly see things. You know, like you feel this clarity, and that is a good sign that you're doing this exercise right. But it's good to do it like on daily basis. And this is, you know, this is like simple practice, but it is super powerful. It is super powerful, and that's why Lama Rinpoche speaks profoundly about this practice. And from my own experience, it does help you to transform negative emotions. It does help kind of like transform stress. You know, it brings you to another level when you actually start to observe. It's things like you are not following those thoughts, you are not following those emotions, those problems. You kind of, you stand and you start to observe them. And so instead being slave of those thoughts, you become like owner, you become a king, and you actually using those concepts and that energy as a path in order to bring it to central channel and to experience natural state of mind. So an exercise is simply Om, A, Hum. Om, A, Hum. So do it in your own like tempo. At the beginning, some like really very beginners who like doing this exercise for first time sometimes complain that they feel that their breathing is not natural. So they have feelings that they're kind of controlling it, and like it's difficult, it's not natural. It's okay at the beginning. You are not habituated to this practice yet, and like you are like trying to be in control of your breathing. But just keep going, do it again and again and again and again, and you will see how it becomes more natural. And like you will find, if you do this exercise a lot, you will find that even in daily life, when you have like difficult situation, you have this habit starting doing like breathing Vajra recitation right away. Like you have some negative emotions and you don't know, like usually ordinary people, like they might want to be free from negative emotion. Yeah, like you, for example, you fight with someone and like you really hate, and you know, this is not right. I really love this person, but you cannot do anything with your negative emotions. You know that it's not right, but you cannot be free from it. And so you're kind of, you depend on it. But then you have this method, you have this skillful means of Vajra recitation. And then instead of follow this negative emotion, instead of creating new chain of thoughts and emotions and creating like new karmic seeds, new karmic tendencies, you stop and you just do Vajra recitation. And sometimes when you have negative emotions, you can visualize these negative emotions in a form of smoke, you know, like, or like some like air of certain color. You breathe it. Don't be afraid that it will pollute you. This is just visualization. You are not bringing your negative emotion inside. You're just becoming aware of it, and you're using this energy for transformation. So you visualize this sad, this negative emotion in a form, like certain form or certain color. You breathe Om, you seal it, and thus let your chakra under your navel to cook it, to transform it, and do Hum. You might not feel like it works right away. We need mastery. We need to do it. It's like you're learning to drive a car. You need to do it again and again and again and again. And that's with everything, with every practice. The mastery comes, and it comes 100%. There is no fault. Like, you have to believe in Dharma. Dharma really works for everyone. There is no doubt. You just have to do it. At the beginning, it might seem like, oh, I cannot do it. I'm not capable. I'm not good practitioner. I have my concentration is poor. My concentration at the beginning was so poor. I couldn't, I was so, I felt like whenever I would come to Dharma Center in Toronto to my Lama Namse, from whom I received Karma Kagyu master, Dzogchen master, from whom I received refuge, my mind was jumping. I was not I did not even understand concept of deity, concept of practice. I just would come, I would think about something, and so it took time to learn how to concentrate. But it works for everybody. You just have to do, you have to train in this again and again. And the best way to train it, do it on a daily basis. Create the habit, create habitual tendency to do this practice. How is it in retreat, for example? In retreat, we do many different practices, but every practice is we do them in chunks. We do first practice, Nyondra, first part of Nyondra, second part. So we always concentrate on one practice, then fivefold path of Mahamudra, every part of that, and then Yidam deity. So we concentrate, and at the beginning, from my experience, it is difficult. There's new exercise, new sadhana, new visualization. Even after you spend a year or year and a half in retreat, when you give a new practice, you still need 1 week to fully adapt to it. Not just 1 hour or one session. You need days or week, to fully feel comfortable with this practice, that feel that it is natural, And that's with everything, and if you do exercise of Vajra recitation, at the beginning might be hard, but you have to remember you need to do it again and again and again and again, and it will be easier. And when you do it again and again and again, at the beginning you might have all bunch of questions, and I remember doing my first retreat, I felt so insecure because I did not know whether I'm doing this right or wrong. I had this fear that I might do everything wrong. I had no experience in retreats, in solitary retreats. And at the beginning, I did it wrong. So I did it wrong. So that's, but it's okay. I spent about 1 month doing everything wrong. And then I spoke to Traga Rinpoche, and he he can do it without telling you, but his face, no, this is not right. And everything is upside down inside, and he was suffer so much. My God, I spent entire months doing I don't know what, and he you have to do this, in this way. And Tibetans sometimes don't explain,
Right.
in this concept that we are used to, and then I learned that it's actually very good experience to me, because even though at the beginning you might do some, you have many questions, you are not sure, but these practices, they have blessing of lineage. And if you do it with the right motivation, this magic happens right motivation turns everything in the right direction. And if you have if you have also devotion, that's two things, like they do all the magic. And then you have to make effort. So pure motivation, devotion, and effort. So doing it not necessarily have to be like really tight, like put like lots of physical effort, but effort in discipline to do it at the same time, or like to do it every day for so many minutes. Bring your mind like has tendency to like to run after whatever rising, whatever thoughts are rising. Bring your mind calm again, and creating this habit and trait. You use all this skillful meaning again, and with times you see, okay, it's easier for me. I can concentrate on the object longer time. But here with Vajra recitation, because we involve winds in channels, this happens faster. That's what with yogins, like who works with channels, with winds. So through moving of winds, this whole process happens much faster. And then like you get this clarity of mind, you have this awareness, and you don't have to make like physical effort, just do it again and again every day. And so in this way, like have this attitude toward each practice. But with Vajra recitation, I suggest that you master it. This is such a powerful practice, which is extremely easy to master, but which will make like huge difference to your daily life when you master it. Because then you can bring whatever negative emotions, whatever situation brings you on the path, and like make it it will like fire your practice. It will it give you more energy. This energy which spent on destructive thoughts and feeding dualistic view, this energy you are bringing back. That's energy always with you. Lama Garchen Rinpoche told a long time ago, it actually takes lots of energy to think, like to follow karmic patterns, or like to have this fixed perception that we have. It actually takes lots of energy. And that's what we say about like natural state of mind, we say relax. Because what we are doing in dualistic view, we are not relaxing. We are using lots of force. So, and in yogi's practice, we bring that energy, which requires so much force, we bring it back to its natural state, to the central channel. And then we can relax. We don't need any effort, and we can rest. And it brings us bliss and love and all these, good things, which actually which are quality of the natural state of mind. So, and happiness, which is not depending on outer conditions. And so this very powerful state. So that's about Vajra recitation. We don't have much time to do this exercise today. I don't know, unless you want to try 10 minutes. Okay. Yeah. So because time is like, we don't have much time, but so we'll do 10 minutes right now, and then we will do it on a weekly basis. And if you do it at home, like, so then when we meet, like probably on Wednesdays, in evening. So then if you will have some questions, you will be able to ask, or like if you don't have questions, we just can support each other with our practice. Okay, friends. So now we'll do 10 minutes of Vajra recitation.
You want me to time?
Yes, please. Yeah. Yeah, and go straight down. They connect at the bottom. not at the top. They just go parallel. So side channels this curve, under your skull, and descend down parallel to central channel, and they connect. They actually enter into the central channel in the area below the navel. let's take a 10 minutes break. And if you have any questions, you can ask about this practice. Also, Yarek, he's very knowledgeable about practice, so you can ask him maybe. And so, see you in 10 minutes.
10-minute break.
Okay, so we continue. Have like half an hour, a little bit less. So there is story in the 90s when I met Lama Namse Rinpoche in Toronto, who gave me refuge, and so Yarek was always dreaming about 3-year retreat. And so first time I like heard about Dharma from him, he was talking about 3-year retreat, and so this kind of planted seeds in my mind. And at some point, I also started to dream about doing 3-year retreat. But I know that in New York, somewhere in New York State, Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche was leading 3-year retreat in Karma Kagyu. So that was very expensive. So then we needed 3 years, and then we needed all this condition to come together, and maybe then visa to states, and like if to do it by doing it somewhere in Europe or Salt Spring Island in Canada. So that's would require all these conditions come together, which we did not have, you know. And so I remember we were talking to Lama Namse, how is it possible? Like should we like work and make money? Should we like, what should we do? Like, should we look for sponsor? Should we practice? What should we do? And like, he is like, relax. You have to accumulate merit. When you accumulate merit, everything come together. And that's how it works. That's how we get into 3-year retreat, into 4-year retreat. At the end, of course, we did some work. We volunteered at the GBI. We did Nyondro. We worked, in British Columbia, in forests. And so we did like a whole bunch of stuff, but then we helped to build those retreat cabins in Arizona. It was fun, by the way. Yeah, there was an effort involved, but it's like it was so much fun, and and working on ourselves, accumulating wisdom, accumulating awareness, like trying to look into our mind, trying to learn how to control mind, like doing these short retreats on learning how to concentrate, appreciating precious human life, like learning how to communicate with environment. This also this all actually accumulation of merit, and of course like praying to Trijul, to lineage, to our guru Garchen Rinpoche, and dedicating all good deeds that we do, or like rejoicing, like catching ourselves, rejoicing instead of being jealous, like all this stuff, like being aware of our emotions and trying to do something with that. So, and that's all how I see through accumulation of merit. And of course, the biggest thing that help us to accumulate merit is like volunteering at GBI and working, helping Garchen Rinpoche, like establish, doing whatever we could do there to help. And then it's actually arose like very easily, we were supposed to do it in India, but at some point we felt that we cannot do it away from Rinpoche, and we want Draga Rinpoche be our retreat master. So we just went and asked managers, can we do it? And they're like, yeah, totally. And like, we will build cabins, and then other people joined, and Sangha donated money, it was so quick, so fast. And then in 5 months, we built 10 cabins, and then we went into retreat. And I see, all the like minimum infrastructure that is required for us to do retreat. So, and there were like people who were willing to do groceries for us, and all this thing arose. through the blessing of Garchin Rinpoche, like really try to follow the advice of Lama Rinpoche to accumulate merit. And that's what I would like to talk about, this merit, because sometimes we try to concentrate, we tell ourselves like that, or like when like things might work out, they might not work out. So like if you have karmic tendencies to this already ready, so that might work out. If not, you need to create the karmic kind of propensity for this to rise, and that's merit. Speak about Sangha, and I speak about this in Ukraine a lot. Like, for example, now we have this situation, we don't have building. And this seems very tough questions, you know, because like we don't have money, we cannot like give like 20,000 each to buy the building, you know, it's impossible. Like we don't have enough money to buy the building, you know, like, and situation looks like, you know, helpless, you know. But the thing is, the Sangha need to accumulate merit. This is manifestation of collective merit accumulated by each member of the Sangha. Well, in Sangha, we all have our practice, which we do at home. We all have our problems. We all have our karmic tendencies. We try to transform. But we're also a group of people who consciously gather every time. And we like gather to receive, and like some of you who have knowledge also gather to give advice, to work for Sangha, to help to lead practices, like to do Dharma's shrine, you know, like Vajra, which is beautiful practice which you lead, to support Sangha for so many years. So, and that's like some people, but it's actually the responsibility of every member of Sangha to accumulate merit. I'm not talking about donating money right now, because we might donate huge amount of money, but there's something arising and this money gone. You know, we had building before, beautiful, but then some condition arose and like that gone, you know. But so right now, like when we are accumulating merit, we're talking about collective practices, collective environment, and individual practice. Everybody's practice, everybody's transformation of their daily life brings into, adds. And I'm talking about this because I know from my own experience, from experience of our Ukrainian Sangha, it works. It does work. So, and here, what I've been told that during visit of Trisam Rinpoche, he told, if you do Zambala practice, what he said, on weekly basis, yeah, then we will have building with no time, in no time, yeah. And because I have my own experience with our Sangha, I can tell those things are working when we accumulate merit together and we do practices together. Of course, doing collective practice once a week might be difficult, but we can commit doing like monthly, like together, the practice of Yellow Zambala, short practice, and then White Zambala, summoning the good fortune. And like, because such a profound master said this without doubt, I don't have a doubt. And for every practitioner, for me, practice always was like experiment. I like kind of doing some practice, and like you practice, you have to prove that you work. And for me, it was like it's like, okay, I will do this practice as is instructed, and you have to prove me that you really work. That was my attitude, and that was making practice really interesting. It's not like somebody told me it will work and do it, and no, it does not work, so it doesn't. But own relationship with practice. And everybody, I feel like if everybody is willing to take responsibility for accumulating of merit, you can test the practice. We're going to accumulate merit, and we are going to test. Prove us lineage, prove us practice that it works. I will make like maximum effort, like starting now in everyday practice. Whether I like whether I commit to do certain practice every day for like few months or 1 year and dedicate the merit to collective kind of to bring it to our collective creating collective karma, so we have abundance in sangha, because this also have like pure kind of motivation. We want the building not so our ego can enjoy, but so we can kind of be established, like we can have roots, and we have place where like everybody can come and practice, and place where like other people can be drawn. And also, like if you have proof that it works, you will have no doubt. And that's how it works with me. I know it works because I was testing practices. I would not be in Dharma for so many years if I would not be sure that it works. I still have a path ahead of me. I'm still testing some practices, and the results, sometimes the results that I expect or I don't expect, but sometimes when there is resulting expecting, like, and then I realize, oh, maybe it was not, maybe was my ego, wanting this result. I had result, but a little bit different, it's, but it has blessing in it. So, like my suggestion, like that we can like create a collective karma of abundance in this sangha by everybody willingly taking responsibility from their own side to create merit. And beside that, we can do this beautiful practice which was composed by Rigzin Chokidrakpa and translated by Eric Vermiller, like once a month, together with White Zambala practice. Yeah. So, and we can test how it's, but for that, of course, like you can really feel the fruit rising if you put like honestly put as much effort in this as you can, and because Trisam Rinpoche said so, I have no doubt. How fast this will arise will depend on our collective merit. So that's what my let's accumulate merit, whatever way you feel you can do it. Whether to commit to daily practice or like to commit to transformation of certain emotion, like in relationships, or like to commit to develop pure view, like to commit to see yourself as a deity, or to recite certain amount of mantras every day. Hold on that commitment and dedicate every day, dedicate merit from that practice, from every transformed negative emotion. Like when you have anger, I commit when I have anger, stop. Like even though, like for example, I cannot transform, you realize like you cannot transform this emotion, but you can commit to stop and don't talk when you have anger, for example. And that's a big thing. And then dedicate. And so, and we add all this merit to the same pot. And like we are in, having pure motivation, so to create place for ourselves, for future generations. So this practice will support not only our community, but entire country, if we are becoming stable. And so that we need that place to become stable in practice so we can support all sentient beings, and beings who suffer can come and we can give advice. So we need to become masters so we can lead other beings to the freedom. Like our goal here is not just like spend entire life listening, you know. And I know like you all have your responsibility, you have your wisdom, you are dealing with your difficulties, yeah? And you already know what responsibility is, you know, you already, because like having job, having kids, like finishing university, finishing high school, like walking your dog, it's already you're holding on your responsibility. So take something maybe that you sure you can manage, and maybe like you can change your kind of goals later, but let's work like as a one body, because this makes huge impact. And like let's set up our intention on getting that building. Don't think about it how we will get it, how is it. Think about accumulating merit lineage. So because like, you know, like a few people, like I know that all of you like maybe donated, you feel we need it, but so make it like like if there are money, you know, those people who that's their accumulation of money for this project, accumulate merit, and it will manifest the place, the perfect place for your practice. Take it seriously, and like let's do this experiment. You know, this is experiment, and like we're here to support you in this by monthly practicing with you those practices. But meanwhile, if you can do it once a week at home, like you can, or you can even like put recording on, you know, yeah. No,
Yeah.
it would be too much for we were talking about that we will do it monthly. Trisam Rinpoche suggested to do it weekly, and that's what I said, like those of you who would like to do it more often, encouraged to do it like weekly whenever you can. But leading to this practice online or like in a person, we will do it once a month.
Yeah, so we're thinking of the Wednesday of doing the Vajra breathing. So that'll be happening weekly in the evening, usual time. But then, yes, once a month. And I should say, too, thank you, Zhuravka, so much for this, and Yarek. People don't know. If you're like me, you know, you hear all these Tibetan names and that, and you have no idea. You know, again, America is basically a Protestant culture. And we sort of did away with all of that hierarchy in our own way. But nonetheless, Tritsang Rinpoche is the regent for right now. You know, again, I'm just so amazed. Chetsang Rinpoche. So 2 heads of the Drikung, one in Tibet, one in India. Chetsang Rinpoche has been here 3 times, which is amazing to me. And we're technically part of his organization, although he is a complete, you guys do it yourself kind of. He's not like a, he's not involved in the administrative side. It's just purely blessings and spiritual. It's wonderful. But nonetheless, Trisang Rinpoche is the regent. What? Trisab, sorry, is the regent for Chetsang Rinpoche. So when Chetsang Rinpoche is gone, he will take that position.
Where's Trisam?
He's in India, I believe. Yeah, in the main monastery in India. And he came here, again, uninvited. So I don't know why, but it seems that we have all these significant things happen when you're not trying to manipulate it. It's hard to open up to that, but that's true. So he gave us this particular practice. It was beautiful. Yeah. What's that, Gretchen?
He was invited by Lotus.
Yes, but yeah, right. It just kind of happened, is what I'm saying. All right, but anyway, so I think this. Thank you. This
Yeah.
is, I believe,
Thank you.
significant.
So let's try. Let's test the Dharma, with our sincere intention and with effort. Let's you can contemplate what really merit is for you. That real merit, it's actually a transformation of your perception into the pure view, into pure intention. And so if you understand that then anything you perceive and your reaction can be the basis for accumulation of merit. Thank you for that, and let's work together. I myself also will make commitment to certain thing so I can add to your pot of merit. So thank you. So I guess we can finish with dedication prayers.
Yeah, okay. Do you want any questions first?
Oh, do you have any questions? Sorry.
I just had a quick question about the visualization and meditation at the end when we say hum, you after visualizing the prana coming through for om and then holding for you said not to visualize anything then for the hum.
So that's instruction for this practice. We visualize 3 channels when we breathe in, we might follow the prana, or we might visualize as this ball of light kind of inhales this prana through the side channels. After so we release all visualization. Okay. That's the instruction. Okay,
Thank you.
But I'm sure there are different types of Vajra recitation, but this particular practice is when we release visualization. It's not that we try to dismiss it or to dissolve it. We just don't do anything. We just, I would say we don't pay attention to it anymore.
Thank you.
Thank you. And there was another question during break, where we should concentrate on prana moving through side channels or on a ball of light. So the main thing is ball of light. But sometimes we feel our kind of concentration splits. We have to concentrate on ball of light, and then we have to concentrate on prana. But in this way, so you can visualize so this is one whole thing, and this ball of light is inhaling this prana through the side channels. And so you can, if it's difficult to visualize, you can spend some time just on training in visualization. You can also visualize guru inside of that ball of light, or Vajra, if it helps you kind of to ground this visualization, to stable, because actually the nature of fire is Vajra. So it is Vajra, but not in the form of Vajra, how more in less fixed in form of this ball of fire. It is Vajra. So, and we can visualize breathing in this prana is helpful for your
question from someone online here. Are there any colors you visualize as you breathe in other than gray smoke and the red ball of light below the navel?
So actually the instruction is when we visualize, when we're breathing in, it's not necessarily visualize the prana, that prana has certain color. So we just, it's it doesn't have color, but I was given example of how we can visualize if we are transforming negative emotion. So we can visualize a negative emotion in a kind of gray smoke, or dark smoke, or blue smoke, whatever color is more suitable for you. Or we can visualize it without color. So this is just example to help you kind of get stability in the practice, like not to forget or like get more feeling, like and like understanding how negative emotion or like bring negative energy of negative emotion into your under your navel chakra. Yeah, but when we are actually doing this exercise, there is no instruction about specific color of prana. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. And I have another question. So when you were saying about at the stage of awe, you said we need to compress this ball of light. So my question would be, do we like compress it sort of like it's just a mental concept that we're just compressing, or we actually need to sort of like move our abdomen and do the physical thing?
Thank you for question. We're actually not compressing the ball of light. We do something close to Vajra breathing. We're compressing the diaphragm. Waist breathing, yeah. So we are compressing the diaphragm. Diaphragm might go a little bit down and perineum a little bit up. But in this exercise, it's not really necessarily if we don't have training. So we should not do it forcefully. Like if you have some training, you can do it like lightly. So the thing is here, the main thing is we're holding the breath when we recite ah. Because also at the beginning, like Lama Garchen Rinpoche said, like we are learning these techniques with waist breathing, you know, and some of them are super forceful, you know, like, but what he said, when you have good concentration, you don't need to be forceful. Being forceful on a physical level is just like a way to help you kind of to bring your mind there and keep it there. But when, like, for example, he says, like, what you do tomorrow, like, or work like with this lower chakra, if your concentration is good, you don't need to do any compressions. Like, you don't need to do any like powerful waist breathing. You can like slightly compress perineum, you know, slightly, so on a comfortable level. But in this exercise, it doesn't say anything about Vajra waist breathing, so you can do it like lightly, gently, or you don't need to do it. Just hold your breath when reciting ah. And I'm sorry, like while doing this exercise, you will feel like how gently becomes your mind and how gentle becomes your body. And when we have this gentle kind of feeling, that's when we go deeper. So like turning yourself, like looking in your mind and like working with your mind is not going to happen through forceful kind of like pushing yourself. Through concentration and through like these practices, your mind calms down and everything becomes more gentle. And when like in this gentleness, you are able to go deeper. You will not go deeper through the forceful, like pushing yourself forcefully. But, and you see deeper you go, more gentle you become, you know, and like you feel like more gentle becomes your body, like when you're sitting. And then what happens, like at the beginning, we visualize channels. Yeah, but later we start to see them, actually, and we see them not with physical eye, we see them with inner eye, and we see them like they are present in our subtle body. But this is possible only when your attention becomes like gentle, like, and you are able to go through this harsh outer levels, you know, of perception. And it comes actually naturally. Like we're training in visualization of channel at the beginning. Yeah, we need like to do these practices. But then you start to see them and it comes naturally. It's not some like a magical power. It just becomes because your attention becomes refined. That's the word. It becomes refined.
I just was wondering, does it take a little confidence and faith that the stabilization will be achieved?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. Thank you so much. Because the one practitioner during break time shared experience that the person were committed to do certain practices every day, and yeah, shared that at the beginning there was doubt, but that's about like commitment to do, and this commitment becomes like a main pole, around which everything is moving. At the beginning, our mind is not stable, the winds are not stable, and it's absolutely okay to have doubt. But thing is, when we have commitment, or like we took a vow, yeah, so that holds us no matter what, to go and continue. And that's actually a reason also of retreat practices. When you're in retreat and you have nothing to do, just practice, and then you understand, like, okay, I feel I have headache, I still sit and practice my session, because I'm like really sick, I still continue. I have negative emotion, I'm crying, I feel lonely, like I feel so that the world will disappear, or like something will happen if I'm not out there in the world. You just, like in daily life, we can have excuses, like, okay, I'm not going to do this today because that and that and that, I'm not feeling well. But in retreat, no matter how we feel, no matter what happens, you on the brink of death, you just continue to practice. And because you continue practice, this like main pole of practice, so it's like you just moving up in your practice, and then your doubts, they disappear. Doubts at the beginning is fine, but in order to conquer doubts, just need to do it, like again and again and again and again. Receive answers to questions if you have them, but there are so many questions in my practice that I didn't receive answers like from teachers, because it's impossible. Like when you do practice, sometimes like every moment arise new questions, But then what I found, if you continue practice and practice and practice, the answers come from your practice. This is like your wisdom. You have this wisdom, and through the practice, the wisdom starts to shine through. The same as awareness. Awareness, you don't bring it from somewhere. It is, you have it when your mind calms down. So then awareness, like when we do practice of shamatha, for example, we concentrate one object. So, and all those things, like those thoughts appear and they try to bother you, but you continue to concentrate. You committed to keep your attention on the same point, and then at the end, like your mind becomes calm, and you have this clarity and awareness, which is always present. And the same with wisdom. Through practice, your wisdom also, which is always present, starts to shine through, and it gives you answer to your questions. Okay, thank you for your question.
Okay.
I have a couple more questions from online.
Yep.
Can we visualize ourselves as a different Yidam?
Yeah, you can. You can.
Okay. And can one do this too much?
No. And so, like you can do it as much as possible, and like you can do retreats on Vajra recitation. Like 4 sessions. You cannot do it too much, and just like with time, your mind become more clear. You might experience the natural mind, and then actually, when you experience the nature of mind and you feel that it just stays there, it does not you do not get distracted, you can drop the practice of Vajra recitation for some times and just stay in the nature of mind. And then when you feel that you're getting distracted, destructive thoughts appear, like duality again manifests in our mind, you come back to the Vajra recitation.
Okay.
Thank you for your beautiful questions, for wishing to have clarification. It shows that you really care about this practice. Thank you.
Thank you. And for some people, this will be new, but these subtle teachings of the subtle body, I believe that all of the Buddha's teachings are a combination of great compassion and wisdom. But it appears as, the sutra teachings are basically antidote. We have hatred arise and we train ourselves to react with patience. So there's the antidote. It's so skillful. But then there's, like she mentioned, with Tilopa teaching Naropa on the banks of the Ganges, there's direct recognition. Mahamudra, Dzogchen, these teachings are called. But true, if you can't do that, it's a very rare individual, so we have this path of transformation, which is called the Tantra or whatever. And it's really wonderful. Garchen Rinpoche, for instance, has actually had some criticism from very kind of conservative types within the Tibetan tradition of presenting some of these very subtle and profound teachings of transformation. But he quotes Guru Rinpoche, in saying that we live in a degenerate time, not the greatest degenerate time, but we live in a minor degenerate time. And when the afflictive emotions are very strong and people are somehow upside down, we see virtue as being non-virtue and vice versa. And in these times, this is when the transformation teachings are so important. And Guru Rinpoche said that the Tantra will flame brightly during the degenerate times. And Guru Rinpoche has said that these are those degenerate times. So we can have complete confidence in this. And Lama Dawa, I thank you so much for, having the confidence in us to share this in this way. Make it very simple, down to earth, and we see this. And Yarek, thank you. We really have some resources within our little humble sangha, I must say. This is a wonderful, wonderful thing.
I'm sorry, just like I have confidence in you because you have the lineage as a support. You're like not dealing like out of your ego. But when I'm talking about pure intention, that's what also fires the lineage support, the blessing. And I have blessing, and we do have, so then anything is possible. So it's like your intention, and it's just like when it says like Buddha makes 95 steps toward you, and you only need to take 5. So the blessing, it will take care of everything as long as we have pure intention and we have commitment, like sincere commitment to do things like as much as we can. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Page 32 in the prayer book. Om Mani Padme Hum Ri. 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 Gewani Nerdudak Chenre Zegwang Drub Jurchik Drova Chikyang Malumba De Sala Gomharshu. Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all for your practice. Please. Thank you so much. So please don't wait for me to leave the room. Yeah, I will be packing.
You're always worth waiting.
Maybe while if we can't wait for Jaravka, we could listen to a few announcements here. So this week, Tuesday, what are you on? Okay. Tuesday is White Tara practice, 7 o'clock here at the center. Wednesday then will be online with Jiravka, with Lama Dawa, doing the Vajra recitation. And that you can do from home then. The center won't be open. So, but it will be coming, the link will be provided within the next day or two. Today? Okay, so as soon as we get it from Lama Dawa, then we'll send, Cindy's getting the email ready to send out. And then next Sunday is March 15th, and it is, we're going to have, Frank will give a Dharma, or either Frank or a recording will give the Dharma talk.
We have a new member called Recording.
So anyway, but after the break, we will we'll have our annual Sangha meeting where we put, we show people a PowerPoint on, a quick PowerPoint on the financial state of the Dharma Center. So bring your questions. And also there will be some commentary on the future, future things. Anything else about the Sangha meeting? I need to know. There's no, yeah. But you can come and bring your own questions or comments and things like that. We like to hear from you. And then also Frank will be drawing the winning ticket for the raffle for the Tara statue out there. We were hoping to have Kempo draw it, but we couldn't match his schedule with what worked here. So he said that was fine. Frank can stand in for him, and he will draw the winning ticket. So this is kind of your last chance to buy it in person, unless you're here Tuesday night or early on next Sunday. That's it. Otherwise, you can still buy them online. The ticket's online. All the instructions are there on the poster. Okay? Okay. Thank you. Have a good week, everybody. And Jiravka, yeah, thank you so much. And Yarek. And Yarek will be going back to Ukraine in mid-April. Yeah, where he's attending University of Kiev, in Kiev. Yeah. So he's not. Oh, okay. So, yeah, so I'm just going to repeat it because you weren't on the mic for the people on Zoom. Yeah, Yarek is studying at the University of Kiev to become like a military psychiatrist or psychologist, like a therapist, maybe to help people. He himself, if you don't know, he's legally a Canadian citizen, but he was in Ukraine when the war broke out, and he actually signed up and served for 4 years? Yeah. And 3.5 years, and he served on the front line and, saw and experienced some pretty severe things, which, anyway, it's hard to talk about that, but he is now not fighting, but learning to bring some, what do you say, help and the traumatized veterans, or even actual right now servicemen, to some measure of comfort or understanding or rehabilitating their lives, right?
Next week, the Sangha meeting, everything is only on Zoom, not on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't think we need the meeting on. Yeah, it will be on Zoom, but not on YouTube, the meeting part. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, everybody have a good week.